Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. You may remember a couple of years ago I planted some small volunteer seedlings of hellebore here on my side yard sidewalk area and here on our driveway hill. Well, today I am going to gather some more volunteer seedlings and care for them until such time as I can plant them out into more areas in the garden. Come with me and let's get some hellebore volunteers. The driveway garden was planted with hellebores that were all volunteers, I believe 2 springs ago. So in the spring of 2021, I believe, is when I put those seedlings over here. And on this hill, I think I put in about 30. And then down the way by the sidewalk down there, I put in another 6, I think. So of the 30 or so that I've planted, I think I've counted at least 25 that have taken and are now blooming. All of the blooms here are the first time these plants have bloomed. They didn't bloom here last year, but they didn't the year before. But this year, lots of gorgeous blooms happening. Now, eventually, this hillside I envision to be covered with hellebore blossoms. At the Silburn Arboretum in Baltimore, they have some hellebore plantings there, which I believe are similar varieties to these, although I'm not really sure. But their plantings are just spectacular. And that's what I would love to have happen here on our driveway as well. So to help that happen, I'm going to gather up the volunteer seedlings that we have over here by our side porch. And then I'm going to care for them in some potting soil, probably until next spring. And then I'll plant them out into the hill over there. These hellebores here are about, I'm guessing, I can't remember exactly when I planted them, but I think it might have been in 2017 or 18. So I'd make them 6 or 7 years old. And they're beautiful. I love them. This one is white with pink edges on the leaves. And this one is plain white with no pink on it at all. One of them is in the brandywine family, and one of them is in the pine knot select family. And I'm not sure which is which. My tags got messed up a couple of years ago, so I don't know which is which. Now back behind here, I don't know if you can see it. There's a pink one. That's Pink Frost. I know that's Pink Frost, but I'm not sure which is which here, Brandywine or Pine Knot Select. And the Pink Frost doesn't put out any volunteer seedlings, but these two certainly do. You can see all of this greenery that's through here, all of this, and all the way back over there too, is volunteer seedlings off of these 2 hellebores. Some of them just germinated in the last month or so, and they don't even have any true leaves yet. So they just have their 2 seed leaves or cotyledons. Some of these are a year old, so they have 1 set of true leaves, like this one right here. This one has 2 little sets of true leaves. And over here, these are a little bit older, probably 3 years old or so, and they have more true leaves on them. I'm going to be digging these out, not because they're causing a problem here per se, although I really don't want them to be taking nutrients away from these mother plants, which I want to continue to grow lovely. But I'm taking them out because I want to spread them around my garden. The method is pretty simple. I'm just going to use my hand spade and dig them up. Shouldn't be too hard. Remove your little kitties. These are my kitties from years ago. We had 2 cats, Fluffy and Whiskers. And they are in the Rainbow Bridge area now. All right, so here's one right up against the stone. Let's see if I can get all of its roots. There we go. All right, so I accidentally, nope, I did fine actually. All right, so that is one. This one bloomed, or not bloomed, but grew last year, and these are the first sets of true leaves that it put on last year. Here's one that just germinated in the last month. You can see it has its 2 seed leaves, no true leaves yet, and just the smallest little root. So this one just germinated, and this is a 1-year-old plant. That's how slow they grow. Now, I accidentally cut off the roots of one of those, but it's okay because look how many I have. Now, here's one that is very mature compared to all the rest. And it has rooted in there really well. In fact, it's giving me trouble coming out. This is a really nice clump. You can see its true leaves from last year are nice and big and leathery. It's got lots of shoots coming up for this year. So this is a mature plant. I can plant this right into the garden wherever I want to have it now. So I'm going to separate that, put it in a different spot. This is last year's seed leaves. That's what these are too. So these are both germinated last year, and now they're 1-year-old. And that's how small they still are as 1-year-old plants. Now, as hellebores grow, they really establish a very, very extensive root system. And I'm told, although this has not been my experience, I'm told that hellebores don't like to be moved. They don't like to have their roots disturbed. I've not had that trouble, but your mileage may vary. Now, here's another large clump that can go straight into the garden. Here are 2 separate plants, but actually 3 separate plants. I'm running into this juniper root system here, so got a little trouble with that too. Okay, these are looking so good. Found some English ivy. I'm going to get that out of there. I do not want that in my garden. Now, because I've got a couple of inches of composting mulch here, some of the very new seedlings I can just pull up and get them without having to dig for them, like that. And that's what I'm going to do here in the base of this plant. I don't want to disturb the roots of this plant too much. So I'm just going to pull those little seedlings out of there. Is there anything more peaceful than this? I mean, it's like 4:30 in the afternoon. It's a warm sun, cool breeze, birds chirping, blue sky. And what am I doing? Caring for baby seedling volunteers. It's pretty sweet. I've noticed that the honeybees really like the hellebore flowers right now. They've been really visiting. There's one right back over there right now. Doing the pollination job that gave us all of these little babies. Thank you, little bee. Now, of course, you could just leave these here and let it grow into a ground cover, or you could weed them out and throw them away, put them in the compost bin. You don't have to save them and let them grow on somewhere else, but I think it's a really cool thing to do is to find volunteers and expand your garden that way. Also, I'm going to have plenty to give away to friends too. That's a really sweet thing to do. All right, I have plenty here in my pile. So let me see about getting these into some soil so they can live somewhere else until I'm ready to put them into the garden. I'm over here in my no man's land beside my driveway, and this window box has in the past attempted to have lettuce, radish, green onions, chives. I forget what else I've tried in here. I think I've tried short carrots in here, and it hasn't been the most successful ventures I've ever had, so I'm happy to give up this space to something that I believe will be more successful because I've done it before successfully. So I'm going to plant my little babies into this window box, and they can live here a season, 2 seasons, until I get around to putting them into the garden. Now this is a big one. I'm going to save my big ones so that I can put them into pots to give to friends or put them right in the garden. Let me do a little separation here. So this is one that's about a year old. I'm just going to poke my finger in, put it down in there, cover it up, done. Do this probably 100 times. I'm going to hold off on planting these little teeny tiny ones to see if I really need that many. Oh. I almost planted a sprig of English ivy. There's been a lot of beautiful gardening content on YouTube lately. Some of my favorite people to follow, I think you probably follow a lot of the same ones. But there's some couple of YouTubers that I've been following lately that have just been really doing lovely things, and I'm not sure you're following them. So one of them is Common Farm Flowers over in the UK, Georgie Newbury. She's a hoot. I love watching her. Another one that I've enjoyed lately is The Reckless Garden. She lives in Northern Virginia in a townhome and gardens with her small children, and it's just adorable. And then, let's see, there's another one that I found recently. Can't remember it. Darn it. I'll have to look it up. Get back to you. So grateful for today's weather. We had that false spring in February, and then for the last week or so it's been cold again, and I know that we're not as cold as some places, I know, but I just want spring to be here. I think we all just want spring to be here once and for all, for true and to stay. I think I've reached about the end of what I need. I've used most of my biggest seedlings and used most of my room. So I have all these little teeny tiny ones that just germinated this year. I don't feel a strong urge to save every single one of them. It's pretty good. I've probably got 30 or 40 seedlings in here, and then I've set aside these to put into bigger pots. And this is exactly how formal I'm going to be about this too. This is a pile of compost mixed with topsoil that we didn't end up using up last year. I'm just going to do it this way. I think the rest of these I'm just going to put into the compost pile. I don't need all of these. I know I'll probably get more next year just like this, so compost is good enough for this. Okay, folks, well, that does it for today's project. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here's my hellebore seedlings that are going to live here at least another year, maybe 2 years. We'll have to see how ambitious I get next year. And over in my plant stash, I have 6 that I will be either sharing with friends or I'll be planting in my own garden here in a little while. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Are you planting hellebores? Do you have hellebores in your garden? And what do you do with the volunteers? Maybe you have some of the kinds that don't put out volunteers. I have some of those too. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. And I hope I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.